everything. And what's up, everybody? Shawn here with
We're on.
Live Live to Roll. We got special guest Julianne here filling in for Bobby today, and we're gonna be talking some poop talk. So if you guys have any questions, want to drop in the chat or anything, questions or how you manage your bowel care, let us know. We'd love to hear. And yeah, so we'll get into some quick intros and get into it. I'm Shawn. I'm a C5, C6 quadriplegic from a snowboarding accident 20 years ago now. Tom, you want to go, and then we'll let Julian.
I'm Tom Conaway, C6B quadriplegic for the last 26 years. Julian?
I didn't know you and I were in the chair about the same length of time, Tom. I thought you were much younger. Yeah, Julianne Delara, and I'm wearing this getup because I am your current Ms. Wheelchair California. Thank you very much. Paralyzed by transverse myelitis 27, almost 28 years ago. Just woke up paralyzed one day, which was a kick. Couldn't blame it on anything like a car crash or anything like that. But life has rolled along, and because of people like Shawn and groups like this, it's made being in a wheelchair a lot smoother. Because back when Tom and I were paralyzed, there was no internet, there were no videos, there was no chats, there was no social media. So, how do you find out what other people are doing so you don't have to reinvent the wheel? You should excuse me. Um, so, I really feel the value of groups like this where we can get together and, somebody can say, well, some of the hardest things I have to do are peeing and pooping. How
Yeah,
do you do it, guys? You have any shortcuts, any poop hacks?
poop hacks.
Uh, so the three of us had a little chat right before we came on the air, and we discovered that we have three different ways of dealing with having bowel movements. So, who
Yeah.
wants to start?
Um, I can start a little bit. I can get into because I have transitioned a few years ago for my care. So I use suppositories, St. Magic Bullet suppositories, for the first probably 16 to 17 years of my injury. And they worked for me. That was the only thing that I kind of did find worked for me. I tried like other like fleet enemas and things like that. And I just couldn't evacuate, even trying like enemies, which is like another kind of liquid form of suppository um, kind of option. And just none of them seemed to work for me. The suppositories were what I figured was the only thing that did work for me. But unfortunately, I had a really slow process with the. So it would take me on a good day 3 hours, on a rough day 4.5 hours to go to the bathroom, and I would literally be sitting. And if I didn't wait it out and wait for that final mucus to come out, I would almost inevitably have an accident later in the day. It just
Were you doing it in bed, Shawn, or sitting on the toilet?
I was actually on the toilet. I had a commode thing, so I actually because I sat so long, I would make custom commodes with like a 4 inch foam cushion on it because like I didn't want to sit for that long on my butt for that extended period of time. I didn't want to end up with sores or just my legs
Did
going.
you get hemorrhoids? Is my
I
question.
do. So I also do have a hemorrhoid, and I actually have had
So
that. It's hereditary, I believe, and I have had that even pre-injury. I think I somehow, as like a 20-year-old, got one from drinking and stuff. So I had one before I even got hurt. And then
you're
now
kidding
it's,
me. Hemorrhoids are genetic?
I believe so, because I know my dad and my brothers deal with them. So I feel like
What a
I,
kick.
I don't know if it is or not, but I know by the age of 20, I had hemorrhoids already. And I was already having to deal with them and get advice from my dad on how to deal with them and stuff. So that's been an issue for me. Luckily, I don't have all the years I've been doing this, I've had bleeding, but never like severe bleeding where because I've talked to other people that have had hemorrhoids that have had fairly severe bleeding that to the point where, they would need to get like blood. Like it was like really, it's really bad. So I fortunately have only had minimal bleeding. And honestly, So what I was going to mention is since I've started the Peristeen system, um, 3 years ago or so now, I think about 3 years ago, I've been using it now. Which is for people that don't know, the Peristeen system is an enema system, but it actually has like a catheter that goes, you insert into your butt, but then you inflate a balloon like a bladder catheter so that it stays in there. You do like pumps and it inflates so that it actually holds in there and kind of creates a seal so that it holds everything in for you better. Otherwise, I pump water in and it immediately wants to evacuate back out.
If
So
you're looking for like a more technical thing, it's called a rectal catheter. It
rectal.
has a Foley balloon on it, just like a regular Foley catheter, but it's just a short rectal catheter for your rectum. I think it's pretty important to use the right terminology, plus some of the not so right terminology words can be a little bit more embarrassing for individuals.
Right. So yeah, so
Hey,
rectal
hey,
catheters.
Tom, if you know the website or anything, can you put it in the chat? Because
I
I
can't.
don't even know how you spell it.
It's actually made by Coloplast, and yeah,
Peristeen.
yep.
Okay.
So and since using the Peristeen, I've only had, I can recall maybe 2 or 3 times where I've had like, and I'm not talking about bleeding, like a tiny amount of blood that was on the rectal catheter when I pulled it
Yeah.
out, like just very minimal and no actual bleeding, dripping blood from my hemorrhoid. Like
Is
it's
it
still
water
there.
that goes
Yeah, it's water. So the rectal catheter goes in, you inflate a balloon so it stays and holds, and then you switch like the little pump has a dial, so you switch it from the air balloon to the water pump, and then you just keep pumping. It's like a handheld pump. So I have to have help. I have to have somebody pump it for me, which now my wife does. So she just is able to pump the pump for me, and it only takes about 5 minutes. All the water gets in, and then you release the air from the catheter, pull it out, and then wait, and the water and your stool will just evacuate kind of naturally.
body's your body's natural peristalsis comes into effect, which is like the feeling of fluid and like bowel like contents. Like your body wants to go, and your body's natural peristalsis will take into effect. And it'll take generally about the same as a normal bowel program, just like between 30 minutes and an hour, 15 minutes and 45 minutes, depending on the person, individual, how much you eat, type of stool, what you're dealing with, particular context of the situation. The Peristeen, the thing that's really unique about it and why it's ultra effective is one, there's no stimulating agent like a magic bullet or mini enemies or anything. There's no chemical stimulating agent, which for quadriplegics in particular, it can cause dysreflexia, a feeling of like clamminess, just like because you're stimulating the vagal nerve and you're causing discomfort below your level of injury. And that can be difficult for some people. The other benefit to the Peristeen is it's a larger volume enema. So it's more water, it's more fluid that's getting up there. The larger volume means it generally goes higher up. The rectal catheter, the Foley balloon on it, the fact that it holds in place, it allows the enema to reach higher up, which again is why it's also more effective, is because the larger amount of water clears you out a little bit better, clears you out with a little bit more confidence that you're not going to have something going on later in the day, like an
Hey,
accident.
Tom,
I use
how far up does it go into your colon?
It goes into
well,
like
your
the
colon
core
is like a
bowel, I believe.
snake. Your colon is
Hmm.
like 18 feet long and it snakes back and forth. It doesn't go more than probably like uh, I know it's hard to say. There's some really great videos on the Coloplast website, and Peristeen isn't the only system like this that exists. There are
Yeah,
other
leave
systems
something
similar
in.
to Peristeen that is just a larger volume enema system, and shit, you can get a bag from Walmart and give yourself a larger volume enema if you are really in the need to. You don't have to go through the route of going through all these expensive, you know, medical devices. While there is certainly maybe the route that might be easiest and best for your body and specific tools designed for yourself. Um, the point is just a larger volume enema.
Yeah, our
Clean
friend
you out.
The
Definitely.
other one of the other ones that I think is getting a lot of traction right now is called the Navina, which our friend Anthony Riffrichet uses, and I know he talked about recently switching over to that just in this last year or two, and he says it's helped him a lot as well using that type of system. And so I also will note that even with that system, I still do typically two digital stimulations at like the end just to help clear everything out. Which typically by the time I do those, it's mostly just mucus that I'm getting out, and just a little bit of the liquid that's left in there. Uh,
And for anybody who doesn't know, the mucus is an indicator that you've evacuated completely. It's usually
yes.
after all the stool's gone, the mucus is aside, there's no more stool left. While that can be an issue for some people, evacuating that after the fact, especially with magic bullets and things like that, I think that cause a little bit more irritation and stimulation, which can cause a little bit more of that mucus buildup. The mucus is a good sign. It's usually like, hey, I'm done. That's usually when I know, like with confidence, that I've evacuated completely and I'm good to go.
That's really
Yeah.
good to know, Tom. I've been doing this for 28 years and I didn't know that. I always thought the mucus came from the magic bullet. I didn't know it's your body actually doing it on its own.
Yeah.
Well,
You.
the of our small and large intestine tissue are made up of these cells called goblet cells, and these cells actually generate mucus, just like the lining on the inside of our sinuses. They make mucus as a product of their biological function, and while that's meant to help pass or stool through the many feet of large and small intestine through the process of digestion, these are also just like indicators of where things are at with your bowel program too.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So that's
God, you
it. That
guys are
is.
a wealth of information.
Yeah, we do love to talk some shit here.
Just
Believe it.
for everyone to also be aware, the getting the Parastine, getting the Navina, they're very new, and the insurance is hugely discriminatory in how they authorize and hand these things out. Mainly being that they require you to do like a training with a nurse who's trained in using one of these
Isn't that
systems.
weird?
And huh?
Isn't that weird?
It no, I mean it's beyond weird. It's actually abhorrent. It's actually, like I said, it's discriminatory. It's costing many individuals their health and their dignity and many other things as a result of denying these things because they are very expensive. While they're simple, they are very expensive, and particularly like the rectal catheters that aren't reusable or maybe reusable to a certain extent, but not permanently reusable, are also very expensive. And
Like
they
how
make
much? How much are we talking?
So those
well,
catheters, I believe,
we're talking. Go ahead, Sean.
the catheters they charge close to $20 a piece for the rectal catheters. Which and
Hmm.
so for just to like full discussion on my stuff, like I actually still in the 3 years I've been using this system have still not got it through insurance. I had a friend give me a system. He had a brand new pump that he was getting through insurance. He had three catheters he gave me, and then another friend of ours, Mark from the Northridge group, Northridge area. I can't think of his last name right now.
Mark
He,
Richards?
yeah, Mark Richards. So he's been using the system for a long time, and he had a ton of back, well, like ones that he just because he wasn't using them as much as they were sending, and then they upgraded their system to a new system. So he sent me like 70 of the catheters. Um,
Wow.
yeah, and and then also two different pumps. So like I've been able just to, and I am using those catheters. We are reusing them. We're able to clean them because your rectum is not a sterile environment. It's not like reusing a bladder catheter. It's a little bit different. I've been able to use one catheter for a month, 2 months before. So like I still have a ton of these supplies. I do plan to get it through, trying to get it through insurance soon here. I'm actually going to start talking to my doctor so I can try to get either the
What is
Paracin.
that you've been using the system successfully already for 4 years, and they still haven't authorized or approved it. After the proof is in the pudding, after you've already demonstrated the ability to use it safely and to use it effectively, and shown how much of a positive impact it's had on your bowel care and your daily life, and yet they still haven't and haven't made it easy to get. I think that's just fucking insane.
Yeah, it's a
It's
little bit crazy with that
commerce.
kind of stuff. But do you curious, Julian? Like you, I know. We'll hear from you right now. You use Magic Bullet suppositories, like I talked about. I use. Do you have those covered by your insurance, or have you been paying out of pocket? And I know you also just talked about on Thursday how you just got dropped off of Medicare without any notice or notification. So
I got dumped.
yeah. So
Yeah.
how are you doing dealing with all that right now with getting your bowel care stuff and
Well, I've always had to pay out of pocket for the magic bullets. They won't be covered. Magic bullets, gloves, and KY. I mean, this is a magic bullet. And I think like 50 of them are about $50, I
yeah,
think.
I think that's around sounds
So, but to poop a buck a day, I'm okay with that. It's just something that you budget in, but they make other suppositories just, you know, that are mostly just gelatin, and they don't work as well as the magic bullets or as fast and effectively. So for those of you who are new to this and don't know, what we're talking about here is whenever you go, you get the magic bullet, you put a glove on, you get some KY to lubricate, you put the magic bullet into your rectum, and then if you're brave, you can get up and roll around the house. I used to do that. Now I do what Shawn used to do, and I've got my bathroom all set up, you know, with my tablet in there, my coffee warmer, my morning meds, everything like that. And I just hang, use my phone, get some work done. It takes average about 30 minutes to an hour for it to become effective, and then everything out. And then, as Shawn said, I put a finger up in there to make sure that everything's out and there'll be no surprises later on in the day. And now I've been doing this for almost 28 years. It works really well for me. I haven't had any stool accidents since my first year in the chair.
that's good.
But I've always genetically had a really slow system. Now, Tom was talking about peristaltic action. I was told by my doctors that my T12 paralysis means I have almost no peristaltis going on. That's why they wanted me to use the magic bullet, which is a stimulant, as Tom was saying. Um, I don't know if the other methods would actually work for me, because when I was in the hospital, they gave me an enema and it did exactly nothing. The water went in, the water went out. You know.
That's what happened
So
with like a
everybody's
small
different,
yeah.
I think, is the message. And you got to do what works for you. Now, I do this every day, but some people, like, our friend Jeanette, just goes every other day, right? What about you guys?
So I for a lot of years in my early injury when I was doing suppositories, I did Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So I would skip a 2 day period during the weekend, and that was because that's what a lot of the rugby players were doing. And I was like, okay, sounds good. It makes it easier for travel. I was like, I'll do it too. But I did start to have a lot of trouble with not going for 2 days. So
Yeah.
now, with the Paristine and everything, I do essentially every other day, but I do a back to back. So I do a Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday. So I
Hmm.
go every other day, but then Wednesday, Thursday, throw in a back to back. One, to just help clear out everything that may, like if there was any residuals. And two, to keep me on a regular schedule. Otherwise, I'm like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday,
Yeah.
Monday.
Yeah.
So just like to avoid alternating days every other week, I do that to stick to like a more regular schedule, and it's worked for me for these last few years. So it's been it's been working well. Like I said, I've had um, almost no bleeding for the hemorrhoid. I've had I can count probably 4 times that I've had small amounts of liquid that I didn't get out, and I know for those ones like I didn't quite do enough stimulation at the end
Yeah,
to clear out. Like
yeah.
I could feel it. Like I kind of knew. Like felt a little funny when I was done. Um, so yeah, that's the system that I've been using, and then like for every other day basically, but doubling up once a week. Tom, what about you? I know you used to be every single day, but you've adjusted your schedules and stuff over the years. What are you doing
Shout
now?
shout out to Daryl and Darren. Love you guys. Hope the bros are doing good out there. I used to do something every day. Uh, Now it's just a couple of days a week, as needed, basically.
Okay, so you're not on like a schedule right now. You're just going as needed, like are you just like letting your body, like if you feel,
I still do a fleet enema a couple days a week.
okay.
Like I said, as needed. Try to listen to my body, track my diet, what I eat, what I put in, how it comes out.
That's
Don't.
really important. I think that's the next thing we should
I
focus on is what goes in, because I can really mess my system up with something like pizza, white flour, cheese, meat. If that's all my diet is, I will not poop for a week. Oh,
what
I wanted
what
to, wanted to show
what
you
else
guys
do you
this thing.
think?
This is a prebiotic probiotic fiber. And I just put a little scoop of this into a smoothie in the morning, and then I can get away with eating most things and go
I do a fiber
biotic.
supplement.
It's available
I do a
online.
I do a fiber supplement too, Julianne. I do beta
Hmm.
fiber, like a wheat dextrin fiber. Fiber is one of the most beneficial things you can feed yourself to help regulate your gut and your bowel care.
Yeah,
It's good for gut health. It's good for getting toxins out of your body. It's good for your blood processing and stuff. It's just a very naturally good thing for you. The best way you could get it is natural plant fiber. Um, the diet of the everyday American isn't super conducive to that, unless you're like a vegetarian or something and you're really making a point too. So I do my veggies now, a lot more than I used to, just because it is super important to get that natural plant fiber, the natural fruit fiber, like that pulp and stuff. Like when you juice something, don't throw out the pulp, throw the pulp in and eat it, because that fiber
yeah,
is super essential and super important for your body and your health and your digestion. But you can also supplement that now with a fiber supplement, which Metamucil is a really popular one. I particularly don't like it because it's orange and nasty and goopy and gross. Benefiber is wheat dextrin fiber. It's the same thing. It's white powder. It's just something I add into my coffee. When I have a cup of coffee, you can throw in a scoop with your breakfast, with the food that you cook. Like it's much more versatile, and what you can combine it with and include it to. It's tasteless. It's not gritty. It doesn't. You don't notice it at all. But I do notice the effect that it has on my body, the effect that it has on my regularity. And I also just wanted to say something earlier too, is the best program is the program that works for you.
Mhm.
Everybody's different. Julian said it. Everybody digests differently. Everybody's got a different metabolism. Their metabolic system is operating a little bit differently, and also our body's peristalsis and the way that we move things is also different. Um, and that's why establishing and coming up with a regular bowel care routine is super super difficult. And one, it's also like, where do you start? Who do you talk to in regards to this? There are generally nurse practitioners and really great nurses and stuff in rehab hospitals that do talk to you and help you figure out and come up and establish a plan. But let me tell you, there's been no quad or paraplegic that I've met that's left the hospital with a plan and routine that that's worked for them indefinitely, that they haven't had to change and alter and figure out in that time. And we're just giving you the tools to have. like to be able to figure this out, like what works best for
Right.
you. The only way that it works and you figure it out is by trying these different things and figuring out and establishing a routine that works. And one is your bowel program. Then the other thing is what Julian said too, what we're talking about now is what you put in your body is just as important as how you manage how to get it out.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
really is.
And especially if you take any kind of pain meds, they will tend to constipate you mightily.
Yep.
So, lots of water is necessary. Leah pointed out that you need to take lots of water if you're taking fiber, which is a
Yeah,
very good point. Because if you don't, then the fiber can stop you up.
because I was good. The fiber will bulk up, and then it'll be too bulky to pass. So you need to
For
have
me,
water.
it's to my advantage because I'm generally kind of looser stool, and just like the natural bulking effect of the fiber helps me out in a very important way. So again, this is like so individual. I
Yep.
still agree, like a good amount of water is important regardless of your bowel program. You're gonna have bladder issues, you're gonna have bowel issues, you're gonna have every kind of issue, skin issue, hair issue, you name it. You're gonna have an issue if you're not drinking enough. So that is super important. But let's say
Hey,
you do have an issue that I do. Sometimes that bulky effect can be really important, really effective.
I think we need a definite shout out to Darren. He suggests V8 with lots of salt a few hours before, then coffee and chocolate milk.
That's
Um,
everybody's got
I
freedom.
honor your right to do whatever works for you. I'm not going to share that actually.
Yeah, see, that's what like you Tom was just saying. It really is individualized for everybody because everybody's system is works a little bit different. It's not going to be the same. Like that's what for me. If I could have done the suppositories in an hour or whatever, I would have had no problem. I would have been totally fine continuing that and working, and it would have been great. But it was taking hours and hours of my day, and then I would still
Yeah.
feel terrible for the day. I'd have a lot of stomach cramps and stuff. And in the chat, uh, the snotball asked, "Was anyone considering colostomy?" And that's why I wish Bobby was here because Bobby did get a colostomy bag after 30 plus years of life in the chair. And I was honestly starting to think about it before because I was just having such a miserable time before I ended up trying the Parastine and finding out that that did work for me and like I could finish my bowel care in under an hour and like most other people. So that was one life changing thing. But so right now I am not back to considering that. I am happy doing my bowel care the way it is. I don't know if you guys have ever thought about it. And if you want, you can check back onto some of our older shows. We have talked about it, and I know Bobby has gone into detail about his experience with the colostomy bag. So,
We have a few friends who have colostomy bags. Every single one of them said they were happy they did it and they'd never go back to the old way. I haven't heard anybody who got a colostomy and regretted it for what that's worth.
yeah. So, I think if you're really struggling with it, it's definitely an option for people out there. Good.
The vanity surrounding it is usually the biggest concern. Is just what you said. It's like, is it smelly? Is it noticeable? Is it reversible? If it's not for you, I can't speak the reversible nature of it because I don't have one, and I don't want to speak out of term in case I don't exactly know. But I do know that the vanity surrounding it is way more in the individual's head than I think is what you actually have to worry about. I know that it's very manageable. I know that there are many. Uh, I know a quad that easily manages it all the time without incident or embarrassment or odor or anything. I know that there are ways of covering yourself and making it not so noticeable and stuff, especially when it comes to things like intimacy and stuff like that. So all of these questions have been asked many, many, many times by I think everybody who's ever gotten a colostomy. And the good news is that there's been a lot of headway made in the way of making bags and making clothes and making things that are in that mind that consider it and make the vanity part of it not so much of an issue. because it's a huge, 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 huge thing. I mean, nobody wants to shit themselves, but also nobody wants to carry around a bag of shit on their abdomen either. But um, sometimes the lesser of two evils, like it isn't as bad as we think.
Beautifully put, Tom.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to shit themselves, but nobody wants to carry around a bag of shit. There you
So,
go. The lesser of two evils.
yeah, and honestly, it really is just like if you're having a lot of trouble managing your bowels, if you're having accidents and constantly, having to like deal with issues, I feel like it probably is a pretty safe, good option for a lot of people. So I know just a big thing of it is taking care of the stoma and taking care of the site there, but um, and I've also been told that you still do have to do digital stimulations, like I don't know, weekly or a couple times a week, because there is still a mucus that will form. From what I've been told, that you actually still have to get out of your rectum. So, uh, but yeah,
Isn't that interesting? You've bypassed the rectum,
but it somehow
but
still produces
your
something like
It's
rectum's
the,
still trying to do the
it's the
job.
goblet cells. It's that like mucus lining that lines our intestine. Like it still works. So the reason I know so much about this is it's not bowel related, it's bladder related. They took part of my small intestine tissue and sewed it onto my bladder to augment my bladder and to make it bigger because it was small from being injured when I was really young. And the that part of the tissue in my bladder, it makes mucus. So like when I pee, there's I call them bladder boogers. It's like mucus that builds up. It's mucus that builds up in my bladder. And while most of it does pass through the catheter normally, I do have to do regular bladder irrigation every couple days in order to keep the mucus from building up too much to the point that it'll block the catheter. So
and yeah,
That mucus is actually your microbiome, says
yeah,
our friend Scott Ball.
I think our microbiome exists within it, or that's the environment that it lives. But I'm fairly sure that the goblet cells, it's a part of our biological production. It's the same like snot that we make in our nose to help catch particulates and help keep our sinuses healthy and happy. It's very similar for our bowel program. So while I am not a doctor, I highly encourage everybody to speak to their doctors on all of these matters and anything that we mentioned today, specifically if you're making a change or if you're experiencing any kind of issues with a recent change or something. Always,
Mm.
always, always, always talk to your doctor. Always mention everything to your doctor, but also inform yourself as much as possible. It's definitely to your advantage to be as educated as possible in regards to all this stuff. The reason I know so much is because I've gone through it. I've also like made a point to learn and know and better understand because of how much it affects my body. Like I could deal with all this quadriplegic shit, no problem. Like toot sweet without even a thought or a breath. But if I didn't have the bowel and the bladder stuff to deal with, like I'm telling you. But it's like really the hardest part of it for me, and I think the hardest part of a lot of us. So the way that I've combated that is I've tried to learn as much as I possibly can in regards to it. So I get my logic is if I can just understand as much as humanly possible, then I am better and more effective at dealing with it. Which I think that logic is correct.
So Mighty's World says, do you think there's a negative to using two enemies per bowel? I assume you mean per day, per
yeah,
time that
per
you're
like
doing
time you're
bowel.
doing your care, yeah,
Hmm.
I
Since
use
I'm not
enemies
familiar with
for
enemies, what do you
years.
guys?
I used enemies for like 5 or 6 years very effectively. Um, it was before I got my surgery on my abdomen, and then after they cut into my intestines, everything changed. And I had to come up with a different routine because my body changed a lot after that. Um, I wouldn't say it's necessarily a bad thing. I would certainly say speak to your doctor about it. Mention it to your doctor to make sure that there's not any side effect that we're not considering. The only thing that I can imagine is the thing about an enemy is it's a mini enema. It's a ducosilate enema, so it's actually like a liquid. It's like a liquid suppository that
hmm
you administer. So it's much smaller than a regular fleet. It's just like an ounce of liquid versus compared to like 6 ounces or whatever that size of that is. Um, it's an irritant, just like a magic bullet is. It's an irritant to cause stimulation and stimulate your bowels to go. The more irritant you put in, the more irritation and discomfort your body might potentially feel. What I logically would like your biggest thing to watch out for is just discomfort. Watch out for discomfort to your skin, discomfort to your body. Particularly like the vagal nerve is the nerve that generally is still connected to us. It's like part of our autonomic nervous system, not so much our central nervous system. So it can cause more discomfort and more neuropathy and more nerve sensation throughout your body as a result of discomfort, and it's stimulated through your rectum. So, and I know that magic bullets and enemies can be a big, big, big trigger for that. If you are experiencing any kind of dysreflexia that's not normal, especially during your bowel program, it might be related to that kind of discomfort. Um, and also read the instructions. If the instructions on the box and the bottle say don't use more than one, I would not use more than one.
That's good.
Also, if you use more than one regularly, what kind of effect is that irritant going to have on the sensitive tissue inside your bowel? Might not be super beneficial to your long-term health. So speaking to someone in the know in regards to that is super important.
Yeah, definitely talk to a doctor, consult a doctor on that, because yeah, like Tom said, because I wouldn't have thought about that, like, but yeah, that might be just too much stimulant, like to irritate the inside there. But um, yeah, so
Now, have either of you guys gotten insurance to pay for what you're using?
I
No.
have not yet, but
Know
I have
anybody
been
who
told, I have been told by multiple people that the Peristeen can be covered, but like Tom was saying, they make you do, you have to go to Rancho Los Amigos. There's like, and that's the only, I think, there's one doctor there in SoCal that's like, you have to go him. You have to like do the care in the facility with their, like watching, like them going through it with you and everything. Um, so there's like a process to it. But I'm actually gonna maybe look into the Navina, because from what Anthony said, I don't think he had to do anything like that. The doctor just prescribed him. I think he's getting it paid for. So I'll have to ask him after the show. But I'm pretty sure he's
And
getting.
even if you've used it for years and you have to go through like the mock training to get it approved by insurance, it's certainly worth it. But again, it's I think one of the failings of the healthcare system, which there are many, but for most individuals with long-term chronic conditions, particularly spinal cord injuries, incontinence supplies are not covered at all, at least when it comes to bowel incontinence. Catheters, yes. Beyond that, almost nothing, and catheters barely. If like the stories that I hear from people every day in regards to their supply issues and getting access to these supplies has anything to say about it. So no, the insurance has never paid for my fleet enemas or the enemies or the magic bullets or any related supplies therein. It all comes out of pocket every month, every week, every day.
well, Alice is outraged and, I don't blame her. I got into this argument with my provider way back when. I said, okay, now imagine, as this woman was fighting with me, I said, okay, imagine you get the choice. Would you rather pee or would you rather poop today? And finally, that shut her up, but she didn't have the power to do anything about it. Now, you guys may or may not know that United Spinal is fighting very, very hard for us to change some of the rules of Medicare. They're the ones that really finally got Medicare to change their rules so that they would pay for an elevating seat in a power chair.
Yeah.
But it took 13 years, but they finally did. So tomorrow is the virtual roll on Capitol Hill from United Spinal,
Oh,
and I'm going to be part of it. I'm going to meet with 2 senators and 4 congress people, and we have an agenda, 3 different things. Um, one of them is to change Medicare so that they will pay for repairs to power chairs and that they will speed up the process. There will be no pre-authorization needed so that you don't have to be without your power chair for 6 weeks waiting for it to get fixed. That's number one issue. Number two issue is how long they let people have in rehab these days. Back in the 70s, the average was 131 days, and now it's like 37 days. So that's a change we're trying to push through. And then the third one might be the most important. It's getting caregivers, uh, IHS, getting them to make more money so that we don't lose our caregivers, so that they don't leave and go into other professions or work privately because they don't make enough. They don't make enough money. So
What do you mean
those are the things we're
$6.50
fighting for.
below minimum wage isn't standard for medical care and home health care? Oh, imagine that
Exactly.
logic.
Exactly. So I'm going to be fighting from about 9 o'clock till about 2 o'clock tomorrow, trying to be polite and get the politicians to hear what it's like to be us. And
Can
there's
other
like
people help?
90 people going to be on these calls tomorrow. So shout out to United Spinal. They're doing some really good stuff.
Will you come back on the show and talk to us about your experience with it?
Yeah.
Oh, I'd love to. I'd love to, and especially about what we as individuals can do, because the politicians, they may be able to blow us off unless we're their constituent, and then they can't blow us off because if they keep blowing us off, they will not continue to be in office. So supposedly, I've been told they'll listen to us, and all the people I'm meeting with tomorrow are in California. So hey, I'm their constituent and there will be some things that you can do at home. You don't have to actually go on the roll in Capitol Hill to make your voice heard. So yeah, I'll come back to you guys and tell you what we can. Maybe I'll be a guest star next week or something and tell you what you can do to make some change and from home.
Yeah, that would be great to hear some of that. And then, is there anything, if anybody's watching and kind of wants to be involved or help, is there anything anybody else can do to get involved? Or how can people help if they are wanting to get behind this cause, just so we can get that
Go
info?
on, go on United Spinal's website, and it's really simple to just sign up to be, I forget what they call it, but one of the members. That's not the word they use, but therefore that way when we go into talking to politicians, we can say we're 20,000 people strong, instead of 3,500 or whatever we are. Um, and of all the 50 states, California is lagging behind in representation. People who will actually go to United Spinal and click. They need more people especially from Southern California. I guess we're a little bit lazy, or we've got too much apathy or something. But
Yeah,
or maybe
no,
we just
we're a little too privileged out here. As shitty as it is, and as much discrimination as we face, we're in about the best place in the world to be, to receive regular services, to receive meaningful services, and to receive the kinds of care that we require to survive and stay healthy. Now, that's definitely to our benefit because we live here, but there's still many, many wrongs and much discrimination and a lot of very, very huge issues that need serious attention and changing. So I think that's a big part of it is, I don't know, we're lucky that we don't have to deal with as much of this stuff, at least like regularly enough that it's like making us up in arms about it. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be up in arms about it because we certainly should.
Hey, Angry Quad filled in the words for me. Participant, United Spinal participant. And it doesn't cost anything. And it took me, I think, 3 minutes to sign up. So, uh, so yeah, if you can do that, um, and who else? The Kelly Brush Foundation also has something. I don't know how familiar you guys are with Kelly Brush. They're amazing. They're set in Vermont, and every year they have a couple grants to help people buy equipment that will get them out of the house, like hand cycles and stuff like that. But anyway, they have a national registry where you can sign up and it will tell you how many people in your area actually do the kind of sports that you're interested in. So
Cool.
their big mission is get people out of in front of the computer. Sorry, folks, and outside doing stuff with other
We are
people
all
with
for
wheelchairs.
we are all for getting outside and living your life. So yeah, don't have to be in here watching. You could be outside watching on your phone. Live
There you
through.
go, on your hand cycle with your phone
But
sitting right in
For
front of
there
you.
you go.
anybody that likes to stay inside in front of their computers, I'm here for you. The outside's scary, ugly place. Honestly, like the world's kind of crazy. Just stay inside and stay in your bubble. It's all good.
Tom, as a shout out for couch potatoes. Yeah.
But it is just it is important just to stay active and involved. So if you want to check out the website, definitely go ahead and sign up to be a participant and get at least like that. Just bulk the numbers up if we can. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, and for grants and stuff like that, we actually are gonna try to do. I talked to one of the guys from Kelly Brush, and we're gonna do a show with them. I think, but there's also CAF Challenge Athletes Foundation, and there's even one High Fives Foundation, which does a lot of sports equipment grants, but they have some stipulations, which I think they're changing. But like you had to have been injured, like doing a sporting activity or something like that. Like it's kind of a weird foundation thing. They're based
That's
out
very
of Tahoe area, but they're up in like the Tahoe area here. So, but all great foundations that give a bunch of money and grants out to people to get different sports recreation equipment.
yeah.
And just so everybody knows, I'm all for staying within your dark abyss of a home if that's where you feel like staying and where that's safe and comfortable. But sunshine and outside and fresh air is good too sometimes. So I'm not like
I've actually
just
I've actually seen Tom outside, so
once or
he
twice.
does exist out in the sunshine. He doesn't melt.
Oh
And
no, I'm the wicked witch these days. It takes a little bit of water for that to happen.
and Hell Wheels, Rob mentioned that Perfect Step Grant. I don't know about them, but I know they have the Be Perfect Foundation, and they raise a lot of money and have a really nice facility locally here in Pomona. So you can check that out. I'll have to look that up and see if that's information we can try to share too for what grants they have. Um, but
Well,
yeah,
when I come back, I will try to get some. My platform for this whole Miss Wheelchair California thing was just to get nonprofits to work together. Because, as we said, we just named off like five different nonprofits who are essentially doing the same thing. And one of my goals is to get all these nonprofits to merge their resource lists. So we don't have to go to 12 different locations to see who does what to whom. Um, so, so far, I've found people are really willing to do it for the most part. Um, my, I've been telling them to drop their egos at the door and get their shit together and work together. So far, Christopher Reeve Foundation has the most comprehensive resource list that I've found, but I don't know how up to date it is. So the other one, Help Hope Live, is coming up with allowing me to um, get a copy of their resource list. So if we can get these things in some comprehensive fashion, then I can share it with you next time I see you.
And those are two other really great foundations now that we mentioned of is the Christopher and Dana Reeves Foundation. If you're a spinal cord injured individual, it's probably outside of United Spinal, maybe even over United Spinal, the best place to go if you're looking for resources and information
Mhm.
in regards to spinal cord injury and navigating and living life. What Dana has done and what Christopher did before he passed is really amazing and has had an immeasurably positive effect on a lot of people with spinal cord injury. So really encourage you to go check them out too. And also we have some really great friends at Help Hope Live. Shout out Sunny and the rest of the crew over there. And they're an awesome organization that can help um, organize fundraising for you, help set up fundraising, and help organize other resources and stuff. And really, really, really cool, amazing group that helps organize all these different resources that Julianne are talking about together in one central kind of way to help facilitate whatever it is you're trying to do, whether that's achieve independent living, whether it's achieve more adaptive recreation, or just a better, more livable life and
Mm-hmm.
experience. They're really
And
awesome.
shout out. So that's what just Goldman asked in the chat, who's the princess, and that's Julianne. If you haven't seen her, she's on the Rolling with the Golden Oldies show, and her one of her platforms that she's running on right now, because she is Miss Wheelchair California, and running for Miss Wheelchair USA. Right? Is that? But that
That
platform
comes up
is
that
about
comes up in August. Oh, no, not Miss Wheelchair USA, Miss Wheelchair America. They're
America.
2 different organizations,
Okay.
and
So,
frankly, I don't know the difference.
but that is part of your platform that doing, right? That's what you want to do is kind of unite all the different nonprofits to make a more just fluid flowing resource list and make it easier for everyone out there getting grants, applying, and all that kind of stuff, or getting
Yeah.
anything from these foundations.
Yeah. Well, back when I was on the board of what became Wings, way back in the day, everybody, is a volunteer. Everybody has the heart for each other and trying to make change. I got to experience firsthand with Michelle Altamirano, um, how hard you work kind of pushing that rock uphill, and then you look around and there's other organizations pushing their rocks up the hill, and I kept thinking, why can't we push the rock together? We're all trying to do something similar. It's just this much different. So if you let go of your ego and just work together, we can get so much more done.
I agree. That's it. And I even
Yeah.
for this kind of stuff, like even for here, like I'm not against other people doing podcasts, YouTubes, all that stuff. Like we are one united. Like we're all
Yeah.
trying to do the same thing. We're all trying to spread positive information and awareness, and just help people out that may need some of that info. So like same thing. I feel like collaboration is just always better than the competition of it. So
Hey, you
yeah.
just you just took my tagline. My tagline is the power of collaboration. Yeah.
There we go. So that's perfect. All right. So do we want to? We're getting near the end of the hour. Was there any final poop thoughts you guys had? Do you guys want anything else you want to mention about bowel care? We kind of got a little bit sidetracked, but I feel like
We
it's all
did.
important information too. So it's it's good to share. So, but if you guys have anything else you want to kind of mention or say, I don't know that we didn't cover. I know we covered a little bit of diet and how we're managing our care, days we're doing, and stuff like that. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat or message us, on Instagram, email, whatever um, you can, and or even just leave a comment on the video after if it's not live, and we will see it and be able to reply in some way. So we appreciate. What's up, Tom?
I think something that we haven't talked about, which is an important part of this, is other than just the difficult nature of managing your bowels, because just alone, if you don't have your body's natural biological function, it is difficult. It's very difficult. But also, there's the dignity side of this, how it affects your dignity, and how that affects your confidence and your self-esteem and your self-worth. I think that it can be one of the most difficult aspects of our disability is dealing with accidents, the loss of dignity surrounding even having somebody to help you with your bowel care. That alone can be incredibly embarrassing and
Hmm.
incredibly difficult. And in fact, I think is probably one of the most embarrassing and difficult parts of managing our disability is having, whether it's a family member, a friend, or a stranger, come in and put their fingers inside your butt and deal with shit and deal with accidents and the fear, the fucking fear of going out, knowing that your bowel care didn't go as expected and that you might shit yourself at a concert or at dinner or on a date or, out with friends and stuff. It can be oppressive and overwhelming and debilitating in its own way. And that's okay. I, it's okay. It sucks. I wish there was like some magic words that I could say to say like, hey, it's not that big a deal. If you have an accident, it's really not that big a deal. Everybody has them, even able-bodied people do. And if your friends don't understand, if your people don't understand and are able and willing to help you, then honestly, they're not your friends and they're not your people to begin with. The dignity and the difficulty of dealing with your regular bowel program and the embarrassment of maybe having a family member or a nurse come in and help you. It does get easier over time, once you get into a routine. Um, Finding the right person can make the world a difference. It really does. Someone that doesn't make you feel undignified, somebody that doesn't make you feel embarrassed or ashamed to have to deal with it or need help having to deal with it, I think is super super important. Much easier said than done because not everybody has a choice, especially when it comes to like family dealing with it. And I don't know, like they can be as terrible as anybody when it comes to, you know helping you feel dignified and helping you feel not embarrassed. um, so I'd say dictate your care the best you can. If the situation, the individual, or circumstance is not working for you, work to change it. It's certainly going to take some time, and it certainly isn't going to be the easiest transition because modifying or changing your bowel program in any way, shape, or form, whether it's individual helping you kind of method you're using to deal with it or whatever, there's surely going to be accidents. There's surely going to be difficulty. There's surely going to be embarrassment and moments where you're not very dignified and you're really feeling down. Um, where I can share some positive words is you're not alone. We all go through this shit literally every day. All of us do. Shawn does, Julianne does, and everybody in this chat does. So take solace in that you are not alone, and that it certainly could be worse, and that if you have a mind to change it and make a better situation for yourself, then work at it a little bit every day, even if it's just one tiny, tiny, tiny step in that positive direction. I promise you, if you stay after it long enough, you certainly will get to a better place where it's more easily managed and you're able to live with more dignity and less embarrassment and more surety that you live in confident and functional. And I'm here with you guys. Like, I feel it. Even after 26 years, it's like the hardest part of this bullshit that I deal with is like the dignity and the embarrassment and the fucking shame surrounding all this stuff day in and day out. It just hardly ever feels like it gets easier, but it has, and it continues to, and I continue to navigate the change. And what gives me a lot of peace and a lot of grace and a lot of understanding is just knowing that there are other people out there going through it too, like you guys. So I love you all, and we're here with you. You're not alone. We're going through it together, and we're here talking about it.
Yeah, and like you were just saying, Tom, like sometimes you do things get better, and you'll figure things out, and things are getting better. But even then, you'll still have rough days, bad times. Like you still be going through stuff. There's going to be lots of other factors in life that can account for that. So it is like a day to day thing. Like, but always just I feel like it's just important to know you are progressing day to day. even if you have a setback for a day, you're not feeling well or weak, whatever, however long it is, just know that are getting better, you're progressing, and things will continue to hopefully get better for you. Just keep a positive outlook. That's what I try to do. But
I think
Julie,
we ought to end with Leah's words. Sean's new bride says, "Listen, fingers in the butt is the beginning of how I met my husband. So you never know what great things are coming at the end of a shitstorm."
that's that's
Sheer brilliance,
why
Leah.
that yeah, that's why I love her. She's but yeah, that's exactly right. You never know
You
what
never
could come.
know. Just like Tom said, you never know. But we do one day at a time. Sometimes we do 1 minute at a time just to get through. But another part of my platform is grab moments of joy. When you find something that makes you happy, like for me, just a butterfly flying across because I love butterflies, I feel joy, and then I grab that and I hold on to it for when the bad times come, and I can relive that and hold it close. That's how I get through.
Yeah, that's important. I think everybody has to kind of figure out what's the best,
What
path
works
for
for
them.
them.
Yeah, what does work for them. So, and it might not come and happen right away for you. So just, if you are struggling with things, uh, try not to get too down. Talk to people. Ask questions. Try to make changes, and you know, hopefully in a positive manner. So, um, yeah, and I would say that's pretty much would be my final words of advice as well. um, so, and like me, like I honestly, like I struggled with suppositories. They just seem to get worse and worse for me over the years and taking longer and longer. Um, and then I was getting super down and struggling with it, and you know, finally found a different option, and it actually did kind of change my life for I got feel like half my week back, like I was like half my life of time and stuff. So yeah, uh, that would be my bit of advice. So let's just real quick also, since we're at the end here, I'm gonna shout out and thank our sponsors. Thank you to Mobility Professionals, Urology Professionals. Mobility Professionals is a DME company here in Southern California. If you guys are anywhere in the Southern California area, you need a wheelchair, commode, standing frame, anything like that, give them a call. Their information is below. They'll help you take care of insurance. They'll get you fitted for the right equipment and get everything taken care of. Tom, do you want to do Urology Pros?
Yeah, I also just really want to shout out Crypto Rob. Of course, man. Thank you, dude. Just want to thank everybody in the chat, especially my mama, and all the rest of you guys. I love you so much, and you guys really helped me a lot, more than I could say. But yo, urology professionals, everybody's got to pee, just like everybody's got to poop. Everybody needs the tools of the trade to make peeing a little bit easier sometimes, particularly if you're disabled. Urology professionals can help you out with anything and everything urological supply related, catheters, lubricant, anything else you might imagine that you might need in that regard. They can help you out. They are a national brand too. So anywhere in the beautiful America, screw USA, we're here for Miss America. Um, um,
I see what you did there.
yeah, thank you. Sorry, buddy. Um, they can help you out anywhere here in the states. They got you. So if you find yourself in that position, encourage you to give them a call, give them a Google, check out their website. I promise it will be to your favor and advantage.
Yep, they're great companies and they do a lot to support the community. So we appreciate them and appreciate all you guys in the chat too. Thanks for everybody watching. Thanks Jeff earlier for that super chat donation. I know you do that like every month or two, and I really do appreciate that. You just yeah, we appreciate your support in all the ways. But everybody even just watching, chatting, we do really love you guys. So thank you. And for our shows coming up tomorrow. Gaming with T Fizzle, Tom Gaming tomorrow night. Make sure to check it out. Usually 5 p.m. Pacific. So tune in for that. Nice hangout, chill talk with Tom, gaming. If you are a gamer and want to join, shoot him a message in the chat and he can get you set up playing if you got the system. And then this week we got Rolling Over the Hill with Bobby, Luis, and Robert. Hopefully Bobby will be feeling better by Thursday, and we'll get the crew up. And I believe they have John Box on for their guest this week, who is another vet from in a wheelchair, as far as been doing it a long time and building wheelchairs for a long time. So make sure to check that show out on Thursday. And then next week, we'll just run up the lineup again. We got gaming again on Monday with Rob and Hell Wheels. He's been having some health issues as well, but I think he's back up to gaming, so make sure to check that out. Again, we're back on Tuesday with another live show, so make sure to check that out. We actually have a fun one on this coming Tuesday. I believe I actually have our friend Viv from the chat scheduled to come on with some people and talk, so make sure to tune in. Tuesday will be a great show. And then that Thursday, we will actually have Brianna and the ladies next week coming on the Thursday. So Brianna, Nikki, Ashley, Maya, and Jessica. So make sure to check them out. And if you missed it from last week on Thursday, Julianne was also just on with the other Rolling with the Golden Oldies ladies. So make sure to check out that show as well from last Thursday. It was a great talk. And Julianne actually did talk about getting dropped off of Medicare after this many years and just kind of unexpectedly having to figure out insurance and stuff like that. So tune in for that too. Check that out. It's on the channel. You can watch it anytime. And I think that is it for all our shows and upcoming things we got going. So thank you guys for watching. We appreciate you in the chat. Make sure to keep coming back. Like, subscribe, click the little bell for notifications. And we'll see you guys next week. Live to roll.